Cessna Citation Longitude, the quiet flex at 45,000 feet. Before we get into the numbers, let me tease the secret I promised. The Citation. Longitude's biggest flex isn't the speed, the range, or the price tag. It's what you feel inside the cabin while the jet is cruising up high. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll get why this airplane makes long flights feel shorter than they should. Why the Longitude sits in that sweet spot. The super-midsize category is the modern power suit of private aviation. You get serious range, a cabin you can actually live in, and performance that keeps schedules tight. The Citation Longitude is Cessna's flagship in that lane, built for owners who want luxury that's usable, not just flashy. What I like about the Longitude is how it's engineered around real life. This is the jet you take when your calendar doesn't tolerate drama. It's built for coast-to-coast days, for long non-stop missions, and for travelers who care as much about how they feel after landing as they do about the photo on the ramp. The presence. From the outside, the Longitude has big jet confidence without feeling oversized. Overall length is 73 feet 2 inches. Wingspan is 68 feet 11 inches, and height is 19 feet 5 inches. Substantial, but still practical for the airports people actually use. The look and the layout. Step inside, and the story gets clearer. The cabin is a true stand-up, flat-floor space. Cabin height is 72 inches. Cabin width is 77 inches, and cabin length is 25 feet 2 inches. That's the difference between I can move around like a normal person and I'm doing that awkward private jet shuffle with my shoulders turned sideways. The aircraft can be configured for up to 12 occupants, but the real sweet spot is the classic super-midsize comfort layout where 8 to 9 people ride in actual comfort. The seats are designed to go fully flat, which is a polite way of saying you can treat a late-night flight like a real reset, not a punishment. If my personal life had a fully flat option, I'd use it every Monday morning. One underrated detail is luggage access. The baggage compartment is roomy and accessible in flight, so you can grab what you need without waiting for the wheels to touch down. Published baggage volume is 112 cubic feet, and it's rated for about 1,115 pounds. That's not a few soft bags. That's golf clubs, camera gear, family luggage, and still room left over for the stuff nobody admits they pack. The cabin experience that actually sells the jet. Cessna talks a lot about cabin quiet, and this is one of those rare cases where the marketing lines up with the vibe. The Longitude is engineered to be exceptionally quiet for its class, and that changes everything. You can talk without leaning in. You can work without fighting constant background noise. You can actually hear yourself think, which is priceless, especially if you're the kind of person whose phone already tries to run your life like it has autothrottles. There's also a real hospitality angle here. A proper wet galley means the cabin can be served like an actual premium experience, not just, here's a snack, good luck. And when you combine that with a flat-floor cabin and those berthable seats, the Longitude becomes the kind of airplane where long flights feel smoother, calmer, and more private. Now let's get to the comfort number that ties into the secret I teased. The Longitude is designed so cabin altitude does not exceed about 4,950 feet, while cruising at 41,000 feet. In plain English, you're pressurized like you're basically in Denver while the jet is way up where the weather lives. That's why people step off feeling less dried out and less drained. It's the difference between arriving and performing versus arriving and staring at a coffee like it's a life raft. Up front, pilots get the Garmin G5000 flight deck with touchscreen control and modern automation. The jet also brings full-flight regime autothrottles, plus optional tech like a head-up display and enhanced vision. You may never touch that as an owner, but you'll absolutely feel it in how smooth and consistent the operation is. Less drama, fewer surprises, better predictability, key performance and specifications. Maximum cruise speed is published at 483 knots, true airspeed. Range is published at 3,500 nautical miles on a 4-passenger mission with reserves. That's a serious capability sweet spot. It makes North America feel smaller. It turns a lot of "we'll have to stop" routes into real nonstop options, and it keeps schedules clean. Maximum operating altitude is 45,000 feet, which gives the jet flexibility to climb above a lot of traffic and weather. Field performance is part of the Longitude's practicality, too. Takeoff field length is published at 4,810 feet, and landing distance is published at 3,170 feet under standard assumptions. That's not tiny runway territory, but it's absolutely workable for a huge number of airports, especially when the point of private aviation is convenience. Under the hood, the Longitude is powered by 2 Honeywell HTF7700L engines, each rated at 7,665 pounds of thrust. Maximum takeoff weight is 39,500 pounds, with maximum ramp weight at 39,700. Full fuel payload is published at 1,600 pounds, and usable fuel volume is published at 2,200 gallons, which helps explain the range and why this lifestyle is not for the faint of wallet. There's also the ownership reality detail that matters if you're not just admiring. Maintenance intervals. Cessna highlights long intervals in this class, with published intervals of 800 hours and 18 months. It's not glamorous, but it's the difference between private jet fantasy and private jet that actually fits your life. The money talk, purchase price, charter rates, and the part nobody brags about. New Citation Longitude pricing commonly lands in the high 20 millions to low 30 millions depending on configuration, with a widely cited list price around $29.995 million. Pre-owned examples can swing a lot by year, hours, and cabin spec, but you'll often see ranges from the high teens into the mid to high $20 million. On the charter side, rates are often quoted in the mid-5,000s to 7,000s per hour depending on operator, routing, and season. That number usually feels shocking until you do the time math. If you can turn a 2-day travel grind into a same-day round trip with a real cabin to work in, a lot of executives start seeing it as an efficiency purchase, not just a flex. Operating costs are where the real math lives. Cessna cites direct operating cost around $3,000 per flight hour, which generally means the direct mission costs. When you add the full reality, crew salaries, training, insurance, hangar, planning, subscriptions, and reserves, many real-world estimates land closer to roughly $6,000 to $8,000 per hour, depending on annual utilization and how aggressively you fly. And here's the part people don't brag about: the long-term upkeep. Training, programs, connectivity, and periodic refreshes can quietly add up, because anything labeled aviation grade tends to cost like it was built by a watchmaker. How the Longitude compares to the big names. If you're cross-shopping, the Longitude sits in the same conversation as jets like the Bombardier Challenger 3500 and the Embraer Praetor 600. Those are excellent aircraft, and they each bring their own strengths. What the Longitude brings is a very livable cabin, strong speed and range, and an ownership story that leans practical. Support network, long maintenance intervals, and a design built to be flown hard without feeling harsh. My take: the Longitude feels like the jet for someone who prefers quiet confidence. It's not about being the loudest airplane on the ramp. It's about being the one that just works and makes you feel human after landing. The secret I promised at the start. So here it is. The Longitude's real flex is the way it protects your energy. When a jet can cruise high and fast and still keep the cabin altitude around 4,950 feet at 41,000 feet, you're buying comfort that shows up the next morning. No hidden altitude tax. No, why do my eyes feel like sandpaper moment. That's luxury that frequent travelers actually notice. Now I want to hear from you. If you were building the ultimate private jet hangar, would you take the Citation Longitude for its quiet, flat-floor comfort? Or would you pick a rival like the Challenger 3500 or the Praetor 600 for different strengths? Drop your pick in the comments and tell me the one feature you refuse to compromise on. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like so YouTube knows you want more luxury aircraft deep dives, subscribe for weekly high-end aviation and lifestyle stories, and consider joining the channel for members-only extras. And if you want to directly support the next investigation, Super Thanks helps more than you'd think. It keeps the research, the writing, and the next video rolling.